Business Latest is brought to you by Capco in just about everything.
A new world driven by new media.
This is a very peculiar moment in media history.
Analyzing the media's role in shaping modern history. The Listening Post, at this time on Al Jazeera.
If you're a Nokia user, you can download Al Jazeera's news widget from Nokia's Ovis store. The news widget, available on compatible Nokia devices, gives users quick and easy access to real-time news updates from Al Jazeera English. See the world in real time. Al Jazeera Mobile.
Welcome back. Here's another look at our top stories on Al Jazeera. For the second day running, pro-Gaddafi forces have failed to retake the rebel-held town of Breka. On Thursday, government warplanes launched airstrikes but were unable to dislodge opposition fighters. These pictures from nearby AlJazeera show reinforcements arriving and arming themselves. Witnesses say hundreds have been arriving there from across the country's east. U.S. President Barack Obama has called for Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi to go now. But while saying all options are still on the table, Obama would not commit to enforcing a no-fly zone. Well, even as thousands flee the trouble in Libya, one man is waiting for the moment he can go home. Masoud Salem escaped 30 years ago after being jailed for speaking out against Gaddafi's regime. He says he's ready to leave behind a successful business in the U.S. state of Pennsylvania so that he can once again return to his homeland. This is his story in his own words.
Hi, I'm Masoud Salem, the owner of Salem Market in Pittsburgh. I have some family in Tripoli. We have Libyan people pro-Gaddafi in every city, and they report for Gaddafi. I stood up and I told him this is not right, and what you're saying is not good. I guess from that time, I know I'm going to jail. I came to the United States November 6, 77. Pittsburgh, yeah. All my life in Pittsburgh. After that, we tried to look for fresh meat and halal meat. The first year, could not find where we can slaughter our own. So I have friends, they ask me why you don't open a butcher shop. Opening store is not easy. We have with $6,500. Now we have two stores.
You're going to tell them this is our #1 love guy.
They tell me, did you play with the Steeler? I said, no. Some people, they afraid to say I'm Libyan. I always say I'm proud of my country, Libya. Always in my mind, I'm going back. I'd like to die in Libya. I'd like to see my people there. All of them every time when you're coming. Now I told them when the revolution starts, I will be there after Ramadan, inshallah.
Moving on to some other news now, and China says it will increase its defense budget by 12.7% this year. But officials in Beijing say a return to double-digit military growth is not a threat to other countries. The increase would put China's 2011 military budget at almost $92 billion. The plan must be rubber-stamped by the National People's Congress, which begins its 5-yearly meeting on Saturday.
Since the NPC session has not yet formally opened, if it's approved by the upcoming session, the defense budget for the year 2011 will be around 601.1 billion yuan.
Al Jazeera's Melissa Chan outlines the focus of this year's meeting.
It's one of the few times of the year when China's leaders make major announcements. The National People's Congress, ostensibly the country's legislative body, but with much of the decision-making made well beforehand. This year, the government's preoccupation will be the economy. Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao has said he would like to see China limit its annual GDP growth to 7%. Given the soaring real estate prices, the government has promised 36 million affordable homes to be built over the next 5 years. Personal income tax will also see a change, with the premier promising it will benefit medium and low-income brackets. It's clear the government is concerned not just with China's growing economy, but with how the money is distributed.
It's a shift from a focus on quantity to quality. And then whether that has to do with the environment or geographic distribution of development or income distribution among classes.
Inflation is the other big problem here, particularly with food prices, giving people a reason to grumble about the government every day.
It would use all the mechanisms at its disposal, interest rates, reserve requirements, even the exchange rate to fight inflation.
So on Saturday, when Premier Wen Jiabao takes the podium, it will be to assure the public the government has this under control.
This year, the word to watch for will be happy. Already, we're seeing it in state media, a happy China and happy Chinese. It's a government promising more than just the basics to the people, more than prosperity, but also well-being. Melissa Chan, AlJazeera, Beijing.
The United Nations Food and Agriculture Agency says global food prices could increase further as oil costs soar because of the turmoil in Libya and across the Middle East. Prices are already at 20-year highs. In 2010, food costs went up 38% in Kenya, 26% in Afghanistan, and 31% in Indonesia. The blame is being put on drought in major grain producers such as China and Russia, along with increased demand across Asia and stockpiling by importers. Some activists also blame the United States biofuel policy. The U.S. hands out $6 billion annually to farmers who sell grain to ethanol producers. An anti-poverty group, ActionAid, says this artificially inflates demand and the price of corn. Well, Cullen Hendricks is a climate and food security specialist at the University of North Texas, and he says unrest and upheaval have traditionally caused the cost of food to rise.
If we use historical precedents as our guide, specifically the food price crisis of 2007 and 2008, we saw that unrest in some 48 countries, protest and rioting related to increasing food prices, actually had the effect of spurring the decisions in major grain exporters, specifically Indonesia, India, and China, for closing off exports. This obviously had the effect of making food more scarce in international markets and driving up prices. So yes, I think it's safe to say that the unrest we're seeing now can only add more volatility and more uncertainty into these markets.